You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Monday, happy game week, all of that stuff. Locked On Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. And we are back. We are back in the mode. We have a game to discuss, not post hoc yet, right? We're not after it. I don't know if I used that right, but whatever. It's happening. Michigan, Colorado State, mere days away, 4 hours and some change. Sorry, 4 days and some change. See, I did rebranded the morning drip. I brought it back today, recorded it at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, this is why I don't talk in the mornings. But it turns out at 3:46 in the PM, still can't talk. Normally record these at 7 when I am just suddenly weirdly awake. I am not in advance. Anyway, so we had a press conference today, our traditional Monday press conference, Jim Harbaugh, multiple players. So there is a lot to delve into. And obviously, the big thing that we have to talk about, which we haven't talked about here on the podcast, I did post to my personal YouTube channel an instant reaction to the depth chart stuff that came out on Saturday night. But we are going to discuss it here, mostly the quarterback situation, because that was the big topic of the day. I see a lot of people posturing, different thoughts and whatever throughout social media. Jim Harbaugh was trending on Twitter, all of that stuff, because people don't understand what is happening when it comes to this quarterback situation. Not from a standpoint of they don't understand that one guy's starting in week 1, and another starting in week 2, but that a lot of people are like, this is bad. This isn't good. This is different. This is weird. All of that stuff. I don't think it's a problem. And now Jim Harbaugh did say on Monday that he does not view this as being like this was not an NFL information type of thing. But at the same time, while it might not be inspired by the NFL, I think that this is very much an NFL type thing, because you're looking at these first 3 games kind of like a NFL preseason. 3 games in the NFL preseason. You've got 3 non-conference opponents, which Michigan should roll over all 3. It would be on par with App State 2007 rather, if Michigan was to lose either of them, even if they're just kind of messing around, right? Michigan should be able to win all 3 of these games, even if it put in Jaden Denegal, a true freshman, right? Like, they have that kind of talent. They should technically be able to play the entire third team and win these 2 games. 3 games. But 2 in particular, as Cade McNamara is slated to start week 1, JJ McCarthy is slated to start week 2. I am for this. I don't think this is controversial at all. I think this is a much better scenario than the way that things played out last year. Now, things will probably continue the way that they did last year. I think that's where the people who have an issue with this are kind of forgetting the way Michigan won last year, with Cade getting the bulk of the reps, but JJ McCarthy kind of coming in. Again, Tom Brady, Drew Henson type stuff, except for JJ didn't necessarily get entire drives. He'd come in for a couple plays, and then Cade would come back in. So it's not exactly apples to oranges in that sense. Or apples to apples, it is more apples to oranges. So I like this because it gives you a little bit more of a thorough evaluation of each. That said, Jim said, well, you probably will see both in those games anyway. So you still might see Cade come in week 2, just whatever, situationally and all of that. But JJ getting the bulk of the reps in week 2, I think helps you get a better idea. Now, the other part of it where people are kind of upset, I don't think Michigan fans are particularly upset, but it's like the general media. It's, multiple things like if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. Yeah. I saw a video today where they are discussing like this undermines the team chemistry and all that stuff. No, it doesn't, because it's the same thing as fall camp. It's just live bullets, right? They're doing the same thing right now. I don't think that it's going to undermine anything. But I think what it does is it allows you to kind of get a better idea. If they're neck and neck, right, like they say they are, if they're right there, listen, I still kind of expect Cade McNamara to be the starter once everything is said and done. I do. But if they're basically 1A and 1B, then it gives you an opportunity to figure some things out in a way that you can't in fall camp. How do these quarterbacks look when the other side of the ball definitely doesn't know what's coming? You know what I mean? You don't know these players' tendencies on defense. You don't know, they've scouted you. They've done all that kind of stuff. They're going to try to stop you in meaningful situations. So I think that it's a positive situation in that this is going to be figured out that way. The goal being that it will be done in week 3. And, but Jim Harbaugh wouldn't commit to that either. I thought he had a pretty funny moment today because he had his kind of Nick Saban moment, which we haven't seen in a while. He was asked if he did this to try to keep anyone from transferring. And he was like, I know you journalists get really disappointed. He's like, I come up here and tell you the truth and whatever, and you journalists can get really disappointed if I'm not giving, when I give you the old adages and all that kind of stuff. It was the way he said it was just real fun. Kind of bristly, but still kind of fun, right? He smiled. I think he smiled when we all laughed. Like he was like, oh, okay. They're enjoying this. But then he later went on to say, like, listen, whoever loses, I don't expect them to transfer. That's just not who either Cade McNamara or JJ McCarthy is. And that is what I have been saying for a very long time, right? I don't expect, you think that a team captain and Cade McNamara, if he loses the job, he's going to be like, all right, week 4, I'm out. And I've been long saying, like, if you really want the best out of JJ McCarthy, it's almost like, hey, dude, you're the 7th stringer, just like Tom Brady was. Like, he has got that in him where he doesn't want to just be like, hey, you're God's gift. You're the starter because you are God's gift. He wants to earn it more than anybody. That is who JJ McCarthy is. And I've been trying to tell you that since he got to campus or even before that. That is who he is. Now, next year could be a different situation, right? If it's the same thing next year, could be a completely different scenario. Cade has not played it down yet this year. He has 3 years of eligibility remaining. So technically, I mean, he and JJ have the same amount of eligibility because Cade McNamara didn't play in 2019, played a little bit in 2020, but that's the COVID year. It's the free year. Played last year just like JJ McCarthy did. They both have 3 years. Do I expect Cade McNamara to still be the starting quarterback entering the 2024 season? No, I do not. But he has that available to him. I think same thing, same situation next year. Yeah, I think that maybe the loser could move on. Right? But I don't think that that's going to be the case, especially mid-season. Now, no one's going to leave in week 4 and go there. You're not going to start getting playing time all of a sudden at another program. It's just not going to happen that way. All right, we still got a lot more to talk about. So let us continue on discussing some of the things that came out of this press conference, whether it's from Jim Harbaugh, some of the players, and just, I don't know, the overall excitement. I got to also mention Scott Frost. Oh, man, if you watched that Nebraska Northwestern game, insane. Listen, it's never okay to drive stoned. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. I just realized I didn't do that right. Anyway, let's start that over. Are you one of those people who think it's okay to drive stoned? What's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit. It's no big deal, right? Wrong. The truth is your reaction times slow way down when you're high. You not only put yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI. So that last read, I'm looking and I thought it was just all time stamped. I had read it, but I didn't read it and realize it's all the same thing depending on how long you want to talk. So I am not awake. It's almost 4 p.m. I've done a video already. I've written, I think, 5 articles. I went to essentially 2 press conferences. And because we had the we did have the Carol Hutchins, Bonnie Thole press conference before the football one. So that was kind of cool getting into, because, you know, a lot of the other coaches were there and to support. Juwan Howard was there, Bev Plocky, Kim Barnes, Erico. Jim Harbaugh was in the building, but he wasn't down there. That was a choice, I guess. But, you know, he's busy. He's got to get his program ready. Speaking of getting them ready, I asked Jim Harbaugh about Iabi Anoma, because we all are obviously, that's our Shea Patterson of this year, right? Former 5-star, didn't work out at previous locations, and guy who could be a game wrecker. So I asked Jim about Iabi Anoma. Let's just listen to what he had to say. Let's just do it that way. That's the way we're going to do it right here.
Yeah, really good. So graduate transfer, Iabi Anoma has been practicing with the team for about 10 days, 12 days, something like that. And he's been really good. He's been a great teammate, and look forward to seeing what he can do this coming season. But I think he'll be hopefully playing right away in the first game. He's shown some outstanding assets that he can bring to the team.
All right, so I think that's interesting to think that he could play right away in week 1. Because I know it is a little bit different when you're an edge rusher. You can come in and you can, it can just be that ready, set, go, right? Don Brown type thing. I know it's not Don Brown coaching the team anymore, but you don't necessarily need to learn all the intricacies of the defense to be an edge rusher. But, it sounds like he's going to be ready to go week 1. We'll see him a bit. Like I said before, if he can get like 5 sacks or something like that on the year, that is a giant success. I don't expect anyone to have more than 6 this year, unless someone goes all David Ajabo, right? I'm not anticipating that. I think that they had 32 sacks last year. If they can get like a couple guys that have 6, a couple guys that have 4 or 5, a couple guys that have, 3, 4 or whatever, that's what they need. I think that they'll be able to get that, especially, and I think that they'll have higher sack numbers overall, because especially with these first 3 games, right? And heck, maybe even that Maryland game, because I still think the defensive line will overpower the offensive line. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And Jim was also asked about the trouble that Iabi Anoma had been in. And he's like, listen, I don't know of any trouble, which I feel like is not true. But if he didn't know that he got kicked out of 2 schools, then all right. There's no way he doesn't know, but that's fine, right? It's a fresh start for Iabi Anoma. You don't need to hold it. This is the thing about society, and I've been feeling this a lot lately. I've been on political Twitter, and it just makes me sad. It makes me so sad all the time. We need to learn forgiveness more, right? Forgiveness is the way to understanding. And you know what? He made it to his 3rd school, Iabi Anoma did. He graduated. He worked hard. He saw the field. It's like he grew up. We can't always hold especially a teenager's mistakes against him, you know? And especially when you're being told you're the top guy, you're the king of the mountain, you're the best defensive end in the entire country, which is what he had heard coming out of high school. It's really easy for you to kind of fall off the wagon in a moment like that. And I think that he seems to have learned some lessons there. So the other interesting things to come out of this, the press conference, were I asked Zach Zinter about the defensive line. I said, listen, is there any guy that you hate going up against? And he's basically like, no, I don't hate going up against them. Not because they're difficult, but because it's making us better. And he's like, I think they're going to be dominant. A lot of people have questions about the defensive line, defense in general. No, I think they're going to be dominant. I have no question. I'm completely confident in that. Coming from someone who won a Joe Moore Award, I think that's pretty good. I mean, obviously, he's not going to say, yeah, well, they've got some work to do. They got their work cut out for them. Obviously, he's not going to say that. But to go as far as to be like, I'm confident that they are going to be, I have no questions. I'm confident they're going to be great. That's just what you want to hear. And that's what I've long believed. It's just confirmation. It's like my own confirmation bias is being fed with just, so much seed. It's unbelievable. Don't know where I'm going with that analogy. But anyway, all right, let's continue on. Not a heck of a lot more coming out of that press conference, except for the one thing I will mention before we do continue on is I asked some of the corners because we got Jamon Green and DJ Turner, your starters, and they both were like, yeah, we're playing way faster as a defense, like way faster than last year. That bodes well, people. That bodes so well. All right, let's continue on here in just a moment. All right, you can take Nebraska. Nope, I don't have this analogy. I don't have it. I'm going to say you can take Scott Frost out of Nebraska, I guess the state, but you can't take Nebraska out of Scott Frost. Is that what I'm trying to say? Man, more of the same in Lincoln. Unbelievable. I don't know if you watched that game. That game was thrilling. At least it was for a while. For a while, it was a lot of fun, and then it got kind of sad. Second half got kind of sad, but for a minute, I'm not gonna lie, I started thinking about the Nebraska game, third to last game of the season for Michigan. And I'm like, Michigan might have, and it might by then, might have its work cut out for it. Really might. I was like, Casey Thompson looks sharp. That Palmer kid looks sharp. The other transfer receiver looks sharp. But same old Nebraska, just like the Detroit Lions. Same old, same old. Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Now, I know everyone's talking about the onside kick. I'm kind of the mind where if it works, then everyone's like, what a gutsy move. What a gutsy play. Now, I don't think that he should have done it, but I didn't really have a problem with it, right? But you better be pretty confident you're going to, A, get the ball back, B, be able to stop that resurgent Northwestern offense. I mean, Northwestern's offense looked last year like it couldn't move against wind. And suddenly it's just slicing through the Nebraska defense, which I don't know if that's because Nebraska's defense is not good or Northwestern's offense has improved. I do think that Ryan Helinski looked a lot better. Evan Hull already looked pretty good last year, but I mean, they got a couple hundred yards on the ground, 300 yards through the air. Northwestern! That's not what I expected at all. Michigan doesn't play Northwestern this year, so it's an even year. Maybe they're the West champ. I have to keep an eye out on them. It's wide open, right? And now they've got a little bit of a confidence boost. Nebraska, I don't know where they go from here. Right? Like, I think Scott Frost, you lose to Oklahoma, that might be it. That just might be the end of it. Obviously, if they lose this next week, too, I don't even remember who they play. It should be an easy blowout situation. But if you lose to Oklahoma, I know that's a tough call, man. But these one score loss games, I mean, there's a reason why it's happening over and over and over again. So I don't know. It was fun to be able to sit down and watch some football. Feels like it has been way too long. Doesn't feel real. I hate week 0 games personally. But this is something my best friend said to me, and I agree with him. He's like, they should, for week 0, let's not have a full slate of games. Let's have one game, and let's have it be an ultra marquee game. Like, how the national championship, not the national championship, but like an NFL, the team that won the Super Bowl plays that Thursday before. Something like that. But it's, I know you're not going to set up a schedule. You can't do it, like late, that late. But if like Georgia, Oregon was in week 0, or like, even like Alabama at Texas. I wish that they could at least like flex like a game from week 1 or week 2 into week 0 and be like, that's it. That's the game. And just have that one game that should be mandated. College Game Day and Fox Big Noon Saturday, both there. And it's just like 1 week beforehand, we get this big hullabaloo. And honestly, even then, like, whatever, I don't care that much. For me, I still am more amped up about the Thursday before because it starts like a whole 5-day process of football. Like week 0, you got to wait a week. It doesn't feel real. Whereas like getting that Thursday night game, like I'm going to be amped for Penn State at Purdue. That's so much more fun. Having one big game. Sometimes there's a couple, and there's a couple teams that always play. Getting to see Minnesota on Thursday. You get to watch Michigan State on Friday. See what the Spartans are all about. You got the Saturday. I think my favorite, it was 2016, where it just felt like there was a giant game every single day for those 5 days. And like you're sitting there on Sunday being like glued to the TV with that one game. And then Monday was that Florida State. I don't remember who they play, but all those memes came out of the guy with the mustache. That was awesome. More isn't always better, but if you're going to have that tease in, make it worthwhile. I know it's probably really nice for those programs like Illinois that aren't exactly national brands in football, at least. No offense to the Illini. That gets eyes on them, right? Because they essentially have the market to themselves. But I would much rather have that. I am a junkie when it comes to college football, but even I eventually get worn out. I was very happy that I don't get CBS Sports Network because I did not really feel like tuning into Vanderbilt, Hawaii. But if I did get it, I would have. This is taking a tangent I didn't expect, but it's someone I wanted to talk about. All right, Tuesday we will be back. We will have a special guest. Mike Golick Jr. is going to talk some sports betting, overall college football stuff. That's right. Notre Dame alum Mike Golick Jr. joining the show on Tuesday. So excited for that. Still haven't figured out what our guest situation is. I have to find out if we're going to do Pro Football Focus again every week. That was great last year rather. That's probably going to be on the docket. But yeah, mostly we're just going to stay the same. Probably not going to have a guest analyst this year for the football preview. I only want to get them if they're like the high caliber that we've had. Mike Martin, Jake Butt. I don't want to just go get some random. I want it to be like someone that I think could do it at that high level. So we'll see. Maybe we can get Jake a few times this year. We'll see how he feels about that. But nonetheless, all right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for watching and or listening. It is game week. It is here. It's happening. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Peace.